Hello all, this is the Owl, and today, well, the polls have spoken, and so I guess we're doing this. Only, I don't really want to do two compilations back to back, so instead, I am going to tackle a single theory that was posted on the Discord, and it's just so damn good. Thus, today, chaps and chapettes, the Owl brings you Vulpolox's theory about why Reg is a dog. Yes, okay. I can see you clicking off the video to go and browse, I don't know, Twitter or something. But bear with me, because this one is dope as all hell. I am deadly serious. For the first time in quite a while, I can honestly say that, yeah, I think that someone might just have cracked the code. And if this isn't the case, then I am completely lost. What do I mean? Well, let's take a look. Reg as a reincarnation of RIKO'S dog. Now, the interesting thing about this theory, right off the bat, is that Reg's name is one of my absolute favorite Made in Abyss mysteries. We'll go through this step by step, but for now, as I said in the intro, this might be the solution to the seeming paradox of Reg's name. We'll get there in just a bit. Preface: the Abyssal Faith. As explained by Nanachi, the Abyssal Faith claims that the souls of those who die in the Abyss descend to the bottom where they are reborn. If there is truth to this, it lays a nice groundwork for the theory. Dog Reg died, and his soul went to the bottom, where it was then resurrected into his current body. This, however, only scratches the surface in terms of the sheer amount of evidence for this theory. I'm also going to preface this by reminding everyone that Tsukushi has confirmed that the Abyss, and by extension, the story surrounding it, has its roots in the Japanese version of Buddhism, which Mrs. Owl insists that I stop referring to as Yen Buddhism. Oh, Terry Pratchett, you were taken from us too soon. And it's a core tenet of that system of beliefs that souls, after being put through trials and torments to purify them, are reincarnated into other forms, either higher forms or lower forms, depending on the purity of the soul, with the goal of eventually ascending to nirvana. I went into this a bit more in my Nature of the Netherworld series, and it's actually quite uncanny how the story mirrors this system of belief at times. We then go through bits of evidence, and while no single piece of evidence is, well, I would say conclusive when taken as a whole, it's pretty damn persuasive. Reg's dog-like traits: 1. His sense of smell. Reg has been shown to have an extraordinary sense of smell multiple times throughout the story, even being called a dog by Nanachi for it. Some of these instances include Reg being able to identify a disguised gnat, and him even leading the party to Iruburu using Prushka's scent trail. That's all I'm going to say. Reg's dog-like traits too, his physical features. Reg's sense of smell isn't the only thing that can be labeled as dog-like. On the rare occasion that they are visible, the soles of Reg's feet seem to have a dog-like paw print pattern on them. Yeah, I think Rebecca RH pointed this out in her own theory in the last video, as well as Reg's subtly pointed ears. By the way, that is bonkers. I never noticed that, but you are 100% correct. The mystery of Reg's name 1. Reg's name was Reg before meeting Riko. It is known that Riko was the one to give Reg his name after he lost his memories. However, as we learn later from Faputa, he had went by the exact name before losing them as well. The truth of the theory would explain this plot point nicely, especially considering this next detail. And yeah, this is the paradox that I was talking about a little earlier. My theory until now was essentially either this is time shenanigans or just a plot hole. But actually, yeah, this does sort of explain it and makes sense. What with the incredible emphasis this story places on souls and soul migration, whether it be Zoaholic doing it or the Abyss itself, and this continues into the mystery of Reg's name 2. Resurrected souls retain information from their past lives. This can be inferred from Shirumi and Minae. Despite having died and seemingly being resurrected, these two still remember their names. This would imply that, if nothing else, at least names are remembered in between reincarnations. Taking this back to the theory, a dog, notwithstanding being unable to understand much of human speech, more often than not can at least learn the name their owner gave to them, giving a solid explanation as to this mystery. Okay, so this is a little complicated, as I think that these two have somehow been turned into relics by Surajo, who I am still convinced is going to be like, what was the name of that little butthole from Naruto? The one with the puppets. No, not that one. The other little butthole with the puppets. It's weird how much puppet stuff went on in that story, come to think about it. That said, yeah, I do think that you are hitting pretty damn close to the mark here, mate. And this next bit isn't quite as important. It's just refuting a common explanation to the apparent paradox of Reg's name and Faputa knowing it. You can pause the screen if you want to read it, but I've never really been a proponent of that explanation anyway, so moving on. Reg's Haku. We know that Reg was climbing the abyss in search of his Haku, who is heavily implied to be Riko. The theory would nicely explain why his Haku is someone he has seemingly never met before, especially when taking into account the previous point regarding memory retention between reincarnations. A dog would, without a doubt, consider their owner as their Haku, especially with how Riko and Dog Reg's bond is depicted in the manga. Haku is such an interesting term here, because after a bit of research, it has a ton of meanings in Japanese. Some of these raise interesting implications, but we're not going into them now, and again, I don't really have much to say here, aside from fair enough. Once again, one hell of a theory. After this, things get even more interesting, but before that, let's take a quick break. And we are back. Bonus chapter 38.5, Reg. This to me is the strongest point of proof, by the way, so listen up. This chapter gives us some insight into Riko's time with Dog Reg. More specifically, it depicts 2 points in time, one of which with a younger Riko alongside Dog Reg, and another post-time skip with her alongside our bade Reg, all the while drawing parallels between the two times. While its mere inclusion can be interpreted as a hint as to the truth of the theory, there is one line in particular that stands above the rest in this regard. Mio offhandedly says that Reg is no longer a dog. While this isn't to be taken literally within the context of the chapter, it definitely seems to be a not-so-subtle hint from the author. Yeah, if Tsukushi is being cheeky like this, I think it rules out any possibility of the whole name thing being something Tsukushi forgot about. You know, a plot hole. Which is where I have to go, yeah, I think this is the answer here. And it would be impressive, because it means that Tsukushi knew exactly where the story was going to go before he put pen to paper, which, believe it or not, is not exactly common amongst long-running mangas. Anyway, these next few are interesting, but not all that important, I think. We'll do one of them, and you're welcome to come over to the Discord to check out the rest. Just search for Vulpolox. Was RIKO'S naming of Reg coincidental? There is reason to believe this is not the case. RIKO has been shown to have some sort of ability to sense souls, as seen in the dream she had of Mitty while she was recovering from the poison at Nanachi's hideout. In this dream, RIKO, unlike Reg or Nanachi, was able to ascertain that Mitty was truly suffering, despite her outward appearance not being able to convey much. She was also able to see what appeared to be Mitty's soul, departing after Reg used his incinerator on her. Knowing this, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to think something similar happened when she was naming Reg. Yeah, that really would be quite something. So RIKO is basically able to see souls. And the story implications of this, well, let's take a look, because he has included a section called Story Implications. Thank you for doing so much of my job for me. Assuming the theory is true, it begs the question as to why a dog, of all things, was reincarnated. Surely the true residents have some sort of standard as to which souls can join their ranks, assuming that is how their society works. My best guess is that LYZA had something to do with the soul that's in Reg. With her desire to bring RIKO down, it would make sense to choose the soul of something that already loves her for that mission. And yes, that is an adorable doggo. It really would be quite something, because that means LYZA is able to futz with souls at will, controlling the reincarnation and putting them into new bodies from the bottom. Maybe some kind of souped up zooaholic? And yes, this is all opening an enormous can of worms. It could also be some kind of predestiny, another concept common in Japanese spirituality. Maybe some kind of twin souls, or something along those lines. We will have to see how it all shakes out at the end of the story, but once again, yeah, Vulpolox, mate, I think that you have managed to land pretty damn close to the truth. Once again, time will tell. And we're gonna end it there, but see what I mean. What a humdinger. It works so well when you factor in the Abyss being based off Japanese theology and the general theme of souls, rebirth, and reincarnation running through Made in Abyss. Now, before we start wrapping up, Vulpolox has another theory which is just as bloody good. But 2 theories is a weird number for a video. If you want to see me cover it, let me know in the comments. Or, just post something in the comments. Apparently it helps the algorithm. And please come over to the Discord, or talk to them there, or respond to their Reddit post and show your support, because some legit work went into this one. Before we finish for the day, I want to give a huge thanks, as always, to my fantastic patrons: Jake Reagan, Piece of Yeast, Elspresso, Question Man 6, Cheerful Satanist, Starwin Marwin, Kel Core, Jacob Ramsey, Crazy, James Bakes Bread, Wargle, Opinion Custard, Lance Goebel, Paul Norberger, Rafferty, Aaron Arnold, The Hedgehog Gamer, Simone, XTC Pill, B Empress, Jake, and Cheshire Quill. If you want to see more like this, why not stick around? Subscribe, bell, you know the drill. If you want to hear me say your name, get early access to most of my videos, have some fun perks on the Discord, and, help Mrs. Owl and I out or buy Baby Owl a present, and ensure that I can keep on doing what I do into 2024, why not take a look at our Patreon? If you want to chit-chat about, well, basically anything, drop by our Twitch. We generally stream on Friday mornings and Sunday afternoons, or come and say hi on our Discord. Take care, my friends, and cheers. This is the Owl, signing off.